Welcome to my Duo GM Top Guide. This guide is aimed at people who have very few Duo KC and who are not familiar with typical Duo practices. These are the target times for each room. Each room time is very achievable within a few runs, but may require a few more to string them together and complete the task. Notably, rooms like Sotetseg and Xarpus can have the most variance due to the reliance on defense-reducing special attacks landing. Duo setups can vary drastically depending on the player. Some players opt to take 4 to 7 brews and 3 to 4 restores, while others bring 7 Phoenix necklaces, a cape for thralls, and share a single restore during Maiden. These are the mage and range setups that I'd recommend. They provide plenty of supplies to easily clear the raid while maintaining enough gear to deal sufficient DPS. Phoenix necklaces and Guthix rests are brought to maximize the amount of usable ticks at bloat, and tent whips are taken to push for a red skip, as well as pop purple crabs at P2 Verzik. The Major can also choose to bring an Anguish instead of a Blood Fury, and the Ranger can opt to camp a Blood Fury instead of a Torture. Before the room, if the Ranger is thralling, the Major will trade the Ranger 3 Soul and 3 Death Runes to Death Charge throughout the room. But keep in mind, it is not worth hitting low HP crabs just to proc Death Charge. Both rolls should start out by T-bowing on entry, and the Major will dump both Dragon Warhammer specs. If the Major misses either of them, then the Ranger should fill to get to 2 Dragon Warhammer hits. If any spec remains, the Ranger should BGS spec until Maiden is 0 defense. The Major should prioritize freezing south 1 through 4, while the Ranger gets 2 scythe hits on north 1 and 2. If more than 4 Nylos are clumped, the Ranger can opt to chin the clump. A strong understanding of what you could freeze and communication with the Ranger makes Maiden significantly more consistent. Bloat functions the same as on every other scale, but in duos it's expected to get reliable 3 downs. To do this, maximizing your ticks attacking bloat is very important. Skills like tick eating the stomp and flinching are necessary here. The attack patterns for bloat are as follows. On the first down, you'll want to chally spec into 4 scythe hits and finish with a chally spec as you run away. For both the second and third downs, you'll want to do 5 scythe hits and a chally spec. When tick eating the stomp, clicking both a Guthix rest and a Phoenix necklace on the same tick can give you an extra hit. It can also provide additional healing for oncoming flies if you're running away. If you don't use your P-neck at bloat, it can be used for 0 tick loss healing in later rooms or dropped for a shark for Nylos. Nylos is the most daunting room coming into a duo. Typically, when learning, it's a mess of brewing and praying pillars don't fall. I could have an hour-long portion of reading the ToB Duo Nylo guide, but I'd recommend you go there and read it for yourself. The easiest way to improve in the Nylo room is by having a plan. Knowing what you're going to do on every wave for every split pre-cap and then post-cap will make the room very smooth. The target splits for the Nylo room that you're looking for are a 3 minute and 30 second waves, a 4 minute cleanup, and a 410 boss spawn. This leaves you with a very average 1 minute and 30 second boss time to hit the goal time of 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Before the room, the ranger trades the major the stamina potion and ranging pot, and in exchange, the major trades over their imbued heart. Ideally, the major will not brew throughout the waves, which leaves them with a boosted range level for the boss. Before the room, if the Major is caping, they should do so now and have the Ranger trade them runes to Thrall. 40 llamas and 4 cosmics should be sufficient. Both players should TiBo the boss on entry and hammer spec once, having one player back up once if both hammers miss. On the second phase, one player will hammer and the other will back up if the first player missed. On the third phase, the player who didn't hammer during phase 2 will spec, assuming they didn't have to back up last phase. When you regen to 50% spec during phase 3, you'll want to rehammer if 0 Dragon Warhammers have hit and so is between 13 and 15% health, or 1 Dragon Warhammer is hit and so is greater than 15% health. If so is less than 15% health, both players can use their Dragon Claw special attacks. Xarpus is a very simple room that you can easily improve on with repeated attempts, as staying in sync with your duo partner is paramount and initial attempts will often get muddied by one player falling off tick. There are two methods to approaching Xarpus, 5-tick and 5.3-tick. 5.3-tick is your average we do raid Xarpus scythe method. It's easy to stay in sync with your teammate even if one of you falls off tick. The duo method for 5-tick is called 5-tick no re-rag and benefits from both maximizing DPS and not re-ragging the same tiles, resulting in higher HP by the end of the second phase. I would personally learn 5-tick no re-rag from the start, as it is an extremely strong method. There are two spec patterns for Xarpus, 3 Dragon Warhammers and 1 BGS or 2 Dragon Warhammers and 2 BGS. It is only possible to zero defense him using 2 Dragon Warhammers and 2 very large BGSs, but they are pretty similar. To start, the Major will dump both Dragon Warhammers, while the Ranger does a Dragon Warhammer spec into a Scythe, and lastly a BGS spec. This puts us on the same tick to rag the first corner tile and begin the walk. This is an example of 5.3 tick Scythe walking, and you can find the 5-tick no re-rag example after this. Before starting Verzik, the Major should trade Death Charge runes to the Ranger. If the Major had caped earlier, then the Ranger should trade the Mage runes to Thrall. 10 Cosmics and 100 Lavas should be sufficient. Phase 1 of Verzik typically starts off with the Major Dawn-specking once and dropping the staff for the Ranger, so that both players can get a Dawn-spec and 3 Scythe hits off on the first rotation. From here, the Major will 4-3 Dawn, while the Ranger does a Sang and 2 Scythe hits. The Ranger can opt to replace a Sang from the Pillar with 5 Scythe hits and a Verzik auto for more DPS. At most, Verzik should die around 2 minutes and 8 seconds if the Major has to use their 7th Dawn spec, but 1 minute and 45 seconds can be achieved with good RNG. For the majority of P2, you can play as normal. There are at most 2 crabs and they can be easily dealt with without losing DPS. Red skips should be done to save significant time. On a GM duo run, it's expected to get 5 to 6 down reds, which is extremely comfortable. Skips can typically be performed on the 3rd spawn with good RNG. Around 12%, you'll have a high chance to skip, with 15 to 20% being much lower, but higher potentially fast Verziks. Only attempt higher percent skips based on how many claw specs are available. When you plan on skipping, always scythe the red crab once, in case the skip fails. The most optimal cycle to skip reds with is 2 claw specs and 5 scythe hits. The second claw, if it's not available, can be substituted with a tentacle whip hit instead. Do not do 2 claw scratches, as it is worse than a single scythe hit.
Looking right at the
Phase 3 of Verzik is the same as larger scales. The most important aspect is hitting the boss on 118 without losing ticks. Make sure to chally the hit before yellows. When tornadoes come out, it's very nice to know how to pog tank, as it will help you avoid leeches and melees while maintaining maximum DPS.
Don't go, tell me that the lights won't shine.